Shannon, how did you come out of Christianity? Because you said you were a minister's daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you go from there to here? You're an Orthodox Jew now. Like, can you tell us your story a little bit?
Right.
I was desperate to save Jewish people, and I was very dedicated in accomplishing that. And I tried to be the best missionary I could. I happen to have been obsessed with the Orthodox world. They intrigued me. I would watch them and see all of the like rituals and traditions that they did. I, of course, thought they were empty and that Jewish people didn't have a relationship with God. You can't have a relationship with God because you don't have forgiveness for sin. But I admired how they tried and how everything, about God seemed to be, part of their everything they did in their life. So I studied them a lot, and I learned very quickly that they knew a little bit more about the Bible than less affiliated Jews. I encountered some tough Orthodox Jews who seemed to have a little bit of a counter-missionary background or knew the Christian arguments, and they would argue with me. I figured that I would have to learn the text in Tanakh. There's prophecies in Tanakh that I believed proved that Jesus was the Messiah. And they gave me a hard time. They told me things like it was mistranslated, that I was taking things out of context. And I thought that was absurd. I would throw back at them that they're not, and you're just regurgitating what your rabbis say. And I challenged them that if they would just look at it themselves, they would see. I was taught that the Jewish people had a supernatural veil over their eyes, that they were blinded. And if I continued to keep trying, and if I could just get them to look at the text themselves, that God was going to remove that blinder, and they would see Jesus in those texts just as clearly as I did. That wasn't so easy. I decided that just like I changed my language, I was going to have to find another way to present the gospel to those more religious Jews. So I took their challenge. They said it was mistranslated. I was going to learn the Hebrew of that verse. They said it was out of context. I set out to not just quote the one verse, but I was going to learn the whole chapter or the book if I have to. I was going to show them in context, that Jesus was in the Tanakh. And that's where it fell apart for me, because they were right. Every prophecy I went through trying to prove it to them was either mistranslated when I actually went to the Hebrew, or it was taken out of context when I would learn the whole chapter or the whole book and find out it's not at all what it meant to be. I became more confused. I ended up learning from rabbis who understood the text and knew that. And that was like a bomb in my life. It shattered, the very core of everything I was devoted to, everything I did in my life, everything that was my focus, my core of my being was shattered. I felt betrayed by the church because I thought that my Bible was the living words of God. It was true. And to find out that things were purposely mistranslated, and they were mistranslated in such a way that it smushed and made it look like Jesus. It was mistranslated in a way to make things look Christological. And if you read it in Hebrew, it doesn't sound like Jesus at all. But if you read it in English, in a Christian Bible, it sounds very much like Jesus, and a Jewish person would say the same. It was shocking. It was devastating. And then there was a loss of relationships. I'm not sure Jewish people realize, but when you are a Christian and you reject Jesus, you're not accepted in those circles anymore. You're immediately cut off. There's New Testament verses that say that one who denies Christ is the Antichrist. The Antichrist in Christianity is basically, I was the devil. There are New Testament verses that said you're not allowed to open your door to somebody who denies Christ. You're not allowed to have them sit at your table or welcome them in your home. So absolutely every relationship that I thought would be there forever, no matter what, was severed. So it was a very lonely journey. It was very scary.
Wow. I'm curious too, like, so you have this moment where you're rejecting what you knew growing up, and you say, okay, I'm seeing the truth within Judaism, but Judaism doesn't inherently mean that someone has to convert to it, right? Like, we have the Noahide laws, like people are able to be connected while not full on converting. Like, I'm wondering, what was that moment when you went, wait a minute, like, I actually like want to be a part of this,
Right.
like, halakhically, fully, however you want to put it.
The community aspect of Judaism was very attractive. I had lost every bit of community that I knew. So wanting to be part of a community was special. Wanting that direct connection with God, which of course as a B'nai Noach you have as well. And I'm not sure it's explainable. I think everybody has their own journey, and I know B'nai Noach who are so happy to be B'nai Noach, and that's good for them. But there was a yearning in my soul. I had to do it, and I wanted that for my children. I wanted a Jewish life for them. I wanted them to observe Shabbos. I wanted them to have a Jewish day school education. I wanted us to be immersed in that. I felt that was the best thing for us. I was attracted by the sense of personal responsibility that is in Judaism, and that we're responsible for how we act and how we are with each other. You know, Hashem takes much more seriously how you treat your fellow man than even your relationship with God. And that even the most mundane things that probably look very silly to the outside world, when you learn the meaning behind them, and you know how beautiful it is, it's inspiring. Very special to have a Shabbos table with the children. I'm always inspired when my kids, who know nothing about Christianity, thank God, talk about at the Shabbos table a Devar Torah that they learned in day school. And I went, oh my gosh, I want to go back to kindergarten. I want to learn Judaism, like a child, and I want to know it, second nature, like they do. Judaism, when you learn what's behind it, is so beautiful and so inspiring.
Wow, you've come a long way. How long are you out of the church?
It's been 17 years now.
Wow. Gematria Tov. Good.
17 good years.
Is
yeah,
crazy journey. I never thought I'd be here, but thank God I am.
Right.